Two brothers from Solihull, they're doing the biggest challenge to me, the Ironman challenge in Staffordshire this weekend. So Rich and Mike Stevens are raising funds and awareness for Epilepsy Action, and it's for a very good reason. So Rich's son Ralph, who's only 4, was diagnosed with a rare form of the condition last year, and they both joined me in the studio this morning. So can you tell me about Ralph and the diagnosis that he received last year?
Yeah, sure. Good morning. So Ralph, this time last year we didn't know anything about it, and he was absolutely fine, normal, healthy young boy. And then June last year, suddenly started having these really bad, scary seizures, which are called tonic-clonic seizures. And he started having them. We took him to hospital. They said, look, this can happen to young kids, and it can never happen again, but obviously come back if it happens. And it did a few weeks later, and then a few days, and then it started happening every day. And then over the course of last year, it's kind of progressed into Ralph having multiple different types of seizures. Most days he has multiple seizures, which they change the way he acts and they change the way he is in the day, and it completely wipes out his energy levels and things like that. So, it's been a huge journey over the last 12 months, and real sort of surprise. So we wanted to raise some awareness, really, because this time last year we didn't even know this thing existed. Really, we thought, like everybody else, epilepsy was to do with flashing lights and triggering a seizure that way. But we've learnt a huge amount over the last year or so, and it's just surprising for such a serious condition that's really actually quite common that not many people actually know much about it, really.
When it first started to present itself to you, how did you feel? How did you respond to that? That must have been quite scary.
Well, I remember the first time very clearly. I know I wasn't actually at home. I was out with some friends, and I got a text saying, get home quickly, something's wrong with Ralph. And my wife was at home with him, and she said he was just playing on the floor, and he suddenly stopped breathing, fell over, started shaking on the floor, really super scary stuff. Turns blue, lose all the colour in his face. And I got home, and an ambulance was there and everything. So the feelings that we had were, as you could probably imagine, it's like super scared. We were really worried, and then the following weeks were sort of very, very, very scary. We had very sort of horrible nights where he had multiple seizures, some of them lasting sort of up to 12 minutes, and actually like 5 minutes seizures classed as a medical emergency. So a couple of times he went over that, and we were kind of thinking the worst a few times. Real sort of scary times, especially at the start, because we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know what to do, and we didn't really know where to turn or anything. So
how do you handle that, not knowing what to do?
You don't really. It was chaos at the start, and it was our heads were like pandemonium for the first few weeks and probably the first few months, actually. But then you start to, it doesn't get any easier, but you just start to understand you've just got to let that person kind of come round. You've got to comfort them. Epilepsy Action did a really good advert this last month on what to do when people has a seizure, and shows a really good video on what to do, and try and keep them safe and things. And now we're not used to it, but we know what to do, and we've got some emergency medication in case it goes into a sort of an emergency situation. But thankfully we haven't had to use that yet.
Tell me about the actual challenge then.
Yeah, sure.
On Sunday.
So we're doing the Ironman. It's called an Ironman 70.3. So it's an Ironman triathlon in Stafford. So it's a 1.9 kilometre swim, followed by a 90 kilometre bike ride, and then finished off with a half marathon run, all sort of sequentially after each other. Me and Mike have never done anything like that before. We were both kind of keen runners last year, and Mike was actually come round to our house after this kicked off, saying, "Look, let's do something, and let's do a run or a challenge or something." And then I guess our sort of competitive nature with each other, we started off with a run or a marathon, then it escalated into a triathlon, and something that was for us at the time like impossible to do, really. So we've been training since last October.
I would understand why, of course, you would do this. Mike, why would you step up to join Rich in doing this too?
It's been really hard seeing everything that Ralph's been going through over the last year, and I wanted to find a way that I could help, really, and that was in part giving a focus to Rich to sort of pick something to train towards, and having that time together, really, to sort of go out on the long bike rides, have that chance to talk about everything that's going on, hopefully has helped. And it's been just having that sort of focus and that drive to at least feel that you can be making a contribution towards things getting better when the epilepsy is kind of completely out of our control, whereas this is something that is within our control and we can do our best to raise some money and some awareness.
Yeah, and I would understand it would also just be so hard for you to be watching your brother go through this with his child.
Yeah, it's terrible, really. And the one thing I would say is it's horrible to watch anyone have to go through this. But the thing that we've been so lucky about, really, is I live just round the corner from my brother. My parents don't live too far away. His wife's parents don't live far. And it really has. We've spent a lot more time as a family close together. So, I mean, that's a positive that's come out of it through a bad reason. But, I mean, we spend a lot more time as a family, which is great. And, I mean, all the grandparents are great with Ralph. And on his good days, it's absolutely fantastic. But there are just those bad days that sort of put a cloud over some of the times.
But here you are doing this challenge, and which is incredible. I don't understand, though, how you didn't know how to swim properly initially. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, no, we knew we could swim, but like if we went to a pool and did like, I don't know, a couple of lengths, we'd be completely out of breath.
Yeah.
So saying we're going to go to swim sort of almost 2 kilometres in a lake.
That's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we went. I mean, we signed up to this before we'd even jumped in the pool, basically. So we signed up and then went swimming and was like, yeah, we need to do a lot of focus on swimming, and we just like, yeah, we had a few lessons off a good friend of ours, Kate, who gave us some pointers and showed us how to do the form, and then we just hit that pool 2 or 3 times a week, every week for the last 8 months, and sort of grinded it out, really.
So a 1.9k swim,
yeah,
a 90 kilometre bike ride, and a 21 kilometre run.
Yeah.
Which is the worst one out of those? Because I don't know which one to pick, because they all sound terrible to me.
I think it's varied throughout the different points of the training. At the start, we both hated the swim.
Yeah.
And then the long bike rides in the winter got quite challenging when it was cold, or you had to do it in your garage on a turbo trainer. And it's sort of changed throughout, and now probably the running's the one that we're least looking forward to.
I think so. Yeah, it's going to be supposed to be hot as well at the weekend as well. So
I think
the run was always going to be the tough one because it's at the end. But now, if it's going to be hot and we've got all this pollen, flying around as well, I think that's going to be a big challenge.
You got hay fever as well.
I have got hay fever. Yeah,
Rich.
Really bad. Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for us. And then you've got to run and swim and cycle.
And then we've got to do all that. Yeah.
How much money have you raised so far anyway?
So this morning we was up to 11,600.
That's incredible.
Yeah, really chuffed so far. We've had, I think, about 250 plus people donate. So it's been really cool. We've had donations from friends, family, colleagues, people we don't even know. I've posted it on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anybody wants to search it, all you have to do is go to Just Giving and put in Ironman VS Epilepsy or Richard Stevens Epilepsy. Comes up, and on Google as well.
And what's this about, an award you've been given?
Yeah, so an award for Epilepsy Action. So they do an award every month, and people get nominated for sort of their contributions to raising funds and awareness for Epilepsy Action. So we received the award in May, which was really nice.
Congratulations.
So we got some recognition for, I guess, the amount of money we've raised and the amount of sort of visits we've had to the site and stuff like that. So that was a real nice positive thing. It was last week or the week before. Really nice. We had a letter come through the post, and I thought, what's this? It looked a really odd envelope, and you pulled it open, and a load of like confetti jumped out in your face. So it was really cool. So again, something really quite nice and positive coming out of all this this nightmare, really.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is, isn't it? You know, yes, you're going through this, but the fact that you've come together, you know, as brothers to raise money, to raise awareness for Epilepsy Action, that's going to help so many people. So I know we've joked a lot about, you know, the Ironman challenge itself, but you're doing incredible things. You should be incredibly proud of yourselves. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the show. Good luck with the swim, the run, and the cycle. Still haven't decided for myself which one's worse, but, you know, you're going to do great.
No worries. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining me on the show, you two.
Rakeem Omar.
At breakfast.
That's so beautiful. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know which one is worse. I love to swim, though. But 1.9k. That's more than just a few laps. And the heat as well. I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be the run. But then if you're cycling, it's going uphill. I don't know which one to choose, but I wish them both the best of luck with this. The amount of stuff they've put their bodies through, the amount of training, all the challenges that they've done to get here to this point. It's incredible to see. So impactful of them both. Raising so much money for Epilepsy Action.